Yeah. Yeah. Good morning and very happy new year to all. Thank you. So, yesterday, what topic we discussed? What is this? Iterations, huh? Loops, huh? Iterations also will learn. Iterations, huh? Like now, what else we have? Exception handling, huh? Right. So, today we need to discuss exception handling. Exception handling statements in JavaScript. Exception handling statements in JavaScript. All right. Generally, what is exception handling and why we need these exception handling statements? Actually, exception handling is not required if we are using JavaScript with HTML. But if you use JavaScript later in other technologies like Node or like Angular or other, because Angular React, they use TypeScript in testing, in server side programming. When we are using JavaScript separately, then exception handling is good. With HTML, we don't need much exception handling, but we will learn what is it. But it doesn't have much importance directly in HTML. Why it doesn't have importance, I will show you. Actually, what is exception handling? Nothing but uh, in computer programming, in computer programming, in computer programming, we have to handle two types of errors. Two types of errors. In computer programming, we have to handle two types of errors. One is we call compile time errors. Compile time errors. Another is runtime errors. Compile time errors, runtime errors. In general computer programming, we have two types of errors. Compile time errors, runtime errors. So compile time errors means actually, so these are the errors related to syntax. Compile time errors are the errors related to syntax. Syntax declaration. These are related to syntax declarations. That means syntax declaration comes with so many things. Keyword wrong written, spelling not written properly, already you have same name variable. Such are syntax declaration errors. What happens is if compile time error comes, then application fails to compile. When compile time error comes, application fails to compile. If application fails to compile, that means you cannot view the output. So you cannot view the output because application is not successful in compiling. You cannot see the output because application is not successful in compiling. This is compile time error. Now, runtime error means runtime error is errors, nothing but. So these are the errors. These are the errors identified. These are the errors identified during runtime of application. That means application successfully compiles. Application successfully compiles. So application starts working. But what happens is application faces catastrophic failures. Application faces catastrophic failures. Application faces catastrophic failures. That means sudden failures. Suddenly application fails because it cannot do certain tasks. Catastrophic failure means it is working, suddenly stopped, suddenly closed. That means actually this leads to abnormal termination of application. This leads to abnormal termination of application. That means suddenly application closes. Abnormal termination means suddenly application closes. So that means you might have observed sometimes when you are doing some work, already you are doing the work, so application is successful. You are doing the work, but you are not doing the work in a correct way. Some mishandling done. So for example, suppose generally when you are using mobile, usually when you are using mobile, suddenly mobile hangs up. So what is the reason for hanging up? Why mobile hangs up suddenly? So many reasons are there, but remember, are those reasons related to problems in mobile? If those reasons are related to problems in mobile, then you can claim on the mobile company. Why? Because you purchased a mobile and it is not properly working, then you can claim on them. So, but you can't, because that is not mobile problem. That is the problem of yours. You are unable to handle it correctly. That means you installed some apps. Suppose they given 4 GB RAM and they given some 10 GB hard drive space in a mobile, and you install 200 applications in it, then obviously it will hang up. That is not their problem. That means due to your handling. Sometimes what we do in computer also, what we do, generally we double click on icon. We take example of Visual Studio Code. You will click on it, it opens, but sometimes it opening in the background, it is taking time. You will not wait, na? You want to see it immediately, you will click again. You will click again until you see it. You will click again and again. Then again and again it has to start. That means you are doing the work slow. Means you are making the work happen slow because of your problem. That means Windows hangs up or computer hangs up. That is all related to our problem. That is, this is not technical problem of any computer, right? Because we are unable to handle it correctly. That's the reason these issues will come. So these are runtime errors. Runtime errors means because of not properly handling it, it will stop. These are runtime errors. So that means, for example, technically, I will tell you. Technically, suppose I return, suppose var x equal to 10, var y equal to some a. So here var z is equal to some x into y. Now immediately it shows error. Why it shows error? It shows an error because it says that you cannot multiply a text with the number. It will cannot multiply text with number. So then you can, so this is compile error, compile time error. Now what happened is you return, that means you can multiply with what number? So 0, you can multiply with 0. Suppose we want divide. Can we divide with 0? Anything cannot be divided by 0. Then is it compile time error? It's not compile time error. Because it's not compile time error because it has to compile based on, it's not compile time error because compile time, what should happen? It should ask that you are not entering a number, but I entered a number only. That means during the runtime, compiler is unable to understand. During the compile successfully, and it is showing you the screen to enter numbers. And suddenly you entered 0, then it will show a message that I can't do this operation. You enter any another number, I will do it. But if you enter 0, I can't do this because mathematically it cannot be done. Then if compiler is unable to do any task dynamically at runtime, then what compiler will do is it will suddenly close your application. That is not good. It will suddenly close the application. That means if it is unable to understand, it will close. That's not good. It should not close. It should identify what problem occurred. And it should report that problem. It should not close abnormally. Identify what problem occurred and report that problem. That is what exception handling is. So, what is exception handling? The question is, what is the purpose of exception handling? What is the purpose of exception handling? the purpose of exception handling, it is used to avoid abnormal termination. It is used to avoid abnormal termination. It is used to avoid abnormal termination. Abnormal termination. So that means, so that application will not close suddenly. It will tell what problem occurred so that we can do it in a right way. If it suddenly closes, that's not good. Why I said that exception handling in JavaScript is not required when we are using it with HTML, because HTML will not terminate the page abnormally. Even it is not possible to do. It will not terminate. It will not close. Then why I need exception handling? I don't need exception handling. For example, see the problem here. Suppose here we are defining. So where x equal to 10, y is equal to sum 2, where sum z is equal to x slash y, means divide. Document dot write, and we say division, and whatever the value is z. So, and here we will run this, and you see it is returning 5. It's working fine. So later if I put it 0, because mathematically it cannot be done as per the concept I told you, it should close my page. Page is the application which is using JavaScript. And when I refresh, it should close this page, but it is not closing. If you are using technologies like Java, .NET, PHP, Python, applications are built. There, suddenly application closes. Suddenly application closes because it can't do this work. So, but here it is not closing. It is returning some infinity. Then why do I need exception handling? I don't need any exception handling. So JavaScript have exception handling, but we don't need much exception handling if we are using JavaScript with HTML. If JavaScript is used separately as a language for server-side programming or for database interactions or for any other technologies using JavaScript, then it is okay. In testing and all, it's okay. But in HTML, we don't need. In HTML, it can't even catch the problem. We have to catch manually the problem and identify it and tell it. That is the reason exception handling doesn't have much importance in JavaScript with HTML. In JavaScript, it is having importance, but with HTML, nothing. So later it will help you when you are learning server-side technology. When we are learning Node.js, where we use JavaScript, there it will be helpful. Here, no, not required. But I will show you how we write exception handling, how we write. That means here it is not showing any problem. It is simply saying infinity. But actually, in other technologies, it will tell that cannot divide by 0. Divide by 0 exception. It will show that. But in JavaScript, it's not happening. So here you can see now how we write exceptions. So how do we define exceptions in JavaScript? Here, JavaScript exception handling statements. JavaScript exception handling statements are we have try, we have catch, we have throw, and we have finally. Try, catch, throw, finally. These are the exception handling statements. So, what is try? So, try is it is monitoring block. Try is monitoring block. That means it contains the statements to execute. Try is called as monitoring block. Monitoring block means it contains the statements to execute. Catch is it is handler block. It is handler block. It will catch the exception. It will catch the exception thrown by application. It will catch the exception thrown by application. It is called handler block. Try and catch. I will show you. It will catch the exception thrown by application. It is handler block. Then throw. It explicitly throws exception message. It explicitly throws exception message. Exception and message. Exception and message. It throws the message. We will see how this works. Explicitly means externally. Externally, it will throw the message. So, and finally, it comprises of statements to execute in all situations. It comprises of statements to execute in all situations. That means on error, occurred, and not occurred. That means even there is no problem also, some statement should execute. If there is problem, some statement should execute. That means finally contains statements which are executed in both situations, when exception handled and when exception not handled, both. So let's see here, means how do we write? I will show you the problems, what it is. We don't need to spend much time here because in HTML, we don't have much work for exception handling. One example I will show you. See, later in Node.js and all, you will use them in various. See now, what are the statements to execute? These are the statements to execute. And this is where we have to print the output. What statements to execute? These statements are kept in a monitoring block. Monitoring block is try. That means we will keep these statements in a try block. Try. In a try block, we will keep these statements. Okay. If any of these three statements unable to execute, any of these three statements unable to execute, then that problem will be thrown. Who will catch that problem? If any of these three statements are unable to execute, who will catch that? There is a handler called catch. This catch will catch the problem thrown by using a parameter. So parameter is exception details. Just for your understanding sake, I'm giving. You can give any name, EXX, anything name we can give it. That means if there is problem in X equal to 10, there is problem is Y equal to 0, or there is problem in dividing X by Y. If anywhere problem occurred, immediately that problem will be thrown into this. The catch will contain that. That means the information about what problem occurred is present inside this parameter. Now we need to print it. That means I will keep here document dot write. What is the problem? Exception details. That problem it will write. Now finally it should print this message. This message must be printed finally. That means I will keep this. In all situations, exception handled or not, in all situations, it should print that message. Means output must be printed every time. Okay. Now I will do one thing here. Let's run this and see. As per the point here, suppose I give 2. That means it is able to execute. So let's run this and see. It will say division 5. It's working fine. Now, if I try to divide by 0, it should able to catch the problem. But as I told you that JavaScript, when it is working with HTML, it cannot catch the problems. It cannot catch the problems. See now, I do 0 and refresh here. It is not catching the problem. It's not catching the problem. It is not printing the problem. Then what is use? Time waste. Right? What is use? It is unable to catch the problem. As a developer, we have to throw the problem manually. That means we have to write like this. If Y is equal to 0, because it is being divided, then throw a message. Message is nothing but, so divide by 0 error, and we will put a message cannot divide by 0. Like this, we have to write a message. That means if it is having this problem, we should identify the situation, and as a developer, we have to write. Other technologies not like this. Not only other technologies, JavaScript, when it is working independently, it's not like this. JavaScript, if it is working independently, it can catch the problem automatically. The problem is thrown, it can catch. We don't need to throw. But here we have to explicitly throw the message. That message it will catch and display. And you see now, I will put here a break, line break here. And you see now it is going to display that. Divide by 0 error. Cannot divide by 0. Divide by 0 error, cannot divide by 0. And the division result is infinity. That means the point here is, now it is showing the problem. Now it is showing the problem, but still not satisfied. Why? Because it is not identifying the problem we are writing. Then what is use? Why to write this? Just write a condition and you put a message, write a condition. If y is 0, document dot write, don't divide, cannot divide by 0. Why to write try block, why to write catch block, why to write throw block. So that means in HTML, there is no use. That is the reason you will see very less people write exception handling in JavaScript while working with HTML. But JavaScript exception handling is important when it is used individually and with other technologies. So here it doesn't make much sense. For example, see, I am trying to divide by -3. It should not able to divide, it should not allow to divide by negative values. But when I say -3, now here you can see that it is returning. So if I try to divide by using some 20, it should not allow to divide by a larger number also. Then you see it is doing it. We want to put restrictions on that. Then what we have to do, we have to write if again condition. If y is less than 0, if y is less than 0, then we throw another message. So no negative values, and we will say we will put a message here. We'll put a message here. So cannot divide by negative number. Like this I will give. You cannot divide by negative number. Like this I am giving. Now the point here is, now I am adding a negative number here. I am adding a negative number here. So then it will throw that message. And of course, it is showing the result because we said finally. Finally means it will execute when exception occurred, when not occurred. If you want, you can hide it. You can write a if condition. If condition is not satisfied, don't display it. The point is, this is not making much sense because everything you have to throw manually. It is unable to catch the problems in the page. It is unable to report the problems in the page. So exception handling is not great in terms of HTML, because HTML itself cannot show problems. For example, if there is a spelling mistake in div, you already know you will not get any error. In HTML, you will not get any error that tag spelling is wrong. It will not show in the console also, it will not show that tag spelling is wrong. So that means the problem with HTML and JavaScript combination is they cannot catch exceptions implicitly. We have to explicitly catch them and throw them. So that is the reason. So just know about it, how to write these blocks. But using them, we will do later when we are working with JavaScript based technologies. Right? As of now, just only these 4 points you need to understand. In try block, we have to write the statements to execute. In catch block, we have to catch the problem. But HTML cannot throw problem by itself. We have to throw problem explicitly by using which one? Throw. And finally contain statements to execute every time. Just one basic level example I will give here. This is a simple example for that. But really, we don't need this. Without using these exception handling also, we can write simple conditions and define them. But you should know the order of writing exception. That's the reason we have discussed this. So these are exception handling related statements. try, catch, throw, and final. Next, important after understanding the exception handling statements. Now in JavaScript, you need to know about JavaScript functions. Then we will go into OOP concepts, JavaScript functions. Already we were using the functions, but detailedly we will discuss today functions and their behaviors and everything. Actually, what is the purpose of a function? What is the concept of a function technically? Actually, a function is used for refactor. A function is used for refactor. So a function is used for refactor. What is meant by refactoring? Refactor means what? That is technical point actually. Function is used for refactor. This you will observe when you are writing JavaScript in a separate file. See, let's go here and let's write a JavaScript file, sample.js. JavaScript file will have extension JS. And here I am writing document.write, or I will simply write for where I is equal to 0. So, or 1, I less than or equal to 10, I plus plus. I want a document.write and I want these statements to use again and again. That means in different locations, I need to print 10 numbers. Then I need these 3 lines again and again, 4 lines again and again. Then if you need this again and again, see what we can do. Select those lines, select the lines and right click on those lines. You right click on these lines, selected lines. You will find an option called refactor. There is an option called refactor. Refactor. When you select this refactor, when you select that, you will not find this in HTML page. If you are writing JavaScript in HTML page, in script tag, you will not find this option. This you will find when you write in a separate JavaScript file. When you select refactor, it will ask you here, see, it will ask you extract to a function or move to a file, separate file. Extract to function, extract to function. So it is asking what should be the function name. Function name print numbers. That is the function name. And hit enter. You see automatically it will write a function for you. That means what it is doing, it is writing a function called print numbers and it is calling the function. So what is the purpose of function? The purpose of function is refactoring. Refactoring means encapsulating a set of statements and keeping them under one name so that we can access those statements and use them anywhere, any number of times. Extracting a set of statements and storing them under the reference of a name is called as refactor. Refactor. Functions are used for refactoring. That means you keep the set of statements under one name so that we can achieve reusability. That means if I want to print numbers again and again, then you can just call this again and again. No need to write these statements again and again, right? That is the concept of refactoring. That means, so refactor is a technique used to extract set of statements into a function. Extract set of statements into a function. It allows encapsulation and reusability. It allows encapsulation and reusability. So function is used for refactoring, and it allows encapsulation. Encapsulation is combining all under one name, and allowing reusability, so that you can reuse and access from anywhere. Here, so function configuration comprises of following. Function configuration comprises of following. Actually, a function configuration comprises of so many things. I will show you here. Function configuration means, see, actually, just rough part I will show first here. We are defining here a function. So function, we are configuring the function. And generally, you see now when you are defining the function, so the font size I will reduce. Okay. Function, and suppose print numbers, and it can have parameters optionally. And here, this is the concept of defining like this. Yeah. Now, usually in this, what you should know is here in this context, this is called, so this part, function print numbers, this part. Actually, that part is nothing but, so that part, yeah. You see this part, function print numbers, this part is called as, we call this as declaration. This is called declaration. We call that as function declaration. That is declaration. That part is called declaration. And this part, print numbers and params. This part, we generally call this as, this part, we call this part as signature. We call that as signature. And this part, so this is the part, this part is called as definition. That is called as definition. So function comprises of three things: function declaration, function definition, and function signature. Technically, you should know these two important things. So function declaration means including the keyword function, print numbers, parameters. This is called declaration. Signature, that means if you want to access and use the function anywhere, what you need? If you want to access and use the function anywhere, what you need? We need signature. We need signature. That's it. That means we need signature here. So here we need signature. So that means here we need signature to access. Print numbers. And into that I will pass some 10 like this. This is signature. That means we access the function and use it anywhere by using its signature. Signature is used to access the function. Signature is used for accessing the function. So function have declaration, function have definition, and function have signature. Now, in the declaration of function, you are passing some parameters. In the declaration of function, you are passing some parameters. These parameters you are passing in the declaration. These are called as, we call these as, these are called as, we call that as formal parameters. Formal parameters. We call them as formal parameters. The parameters that you see in the declaration of function, we call them as formal parameters. Now, the parameter that you see in calling the function, that means this is calling, this is called function calling. In that you see the parameter is passed. This is called actual parameter. Actual parameter. Formal parameter, actual parameter. So actually this part is here. We are calling the function. We are declaring the function and we are calling the function. When we are calling the function, we are passing some value into it. This value will be stored under the reference of this parameter actually. This value will be stored under the reference of this parameter. Value will be stored under the reference of that parameter. So reference is called formal and the actual value is called as actual parameter. Now here in print numbers function, generally in print numbers function, how many parameters we are passing? One parameter we are passing. That means print number function, how many parameters it is having in declaration? It is in declaration it is having one parameter and we are passing that one parameter. That means now technically we say that, means technically we say this. Technically we say that. So note, technically we say that print numbers function, print numbers function accepts one argument. Print numbers function accepts one argument. It accepts one argument. Print numbers function accepts one argument. Generally, we should not say that it is accepting one parameter. It is called parameter. But when we tell about a function, and if anybody asks how many arguments a function needs, that means how many parameter it needs. Generally function arguments we call, directly we don't call as function parameters. That means function have 2 arguments, 3 arguments, 1 argument. So function arguments, these arguments are referred as parameter. So formal parameters, actual parameter. So these are the points. You noted down this diagram, right? So because I haven't designed this print screen, I just created on screen marking, so you will face problem if I clean that. Okay, fine. Okay, this is the point. This I will upload into the class, huh? Right. This diagram I will upload. Fine. Now the point here is the concept for this is the main concept to understand is first one. In the questions, what is formal parameter? So that means it is the parameter defined in function declaration. In function declaration. What is actual parameter? So answer is, so it is the parameter defined into function while calling the function. While calling the function. So it is the parameter defined into function while calling the function. That is actual parameters. What are arguments? Arguments. Arguments define how many parameters are configured in function. Arguments define how many parameters are configured in function. If two parameters, that means two arguments. So that is formal parameter, actual parameter, and arguments. How a function is called? Answer, by using its signature. How a function is called? By using its signature. So what function can do? That is defined in, what function can do? That is defined in definition, right? So what a function can do is defined. What a function can do is defined in definition. What a function can do is defined in definition. Function is called by using signature, and what it can do is defined in definition. Function declaration, function definition, and function signature. All these days we just used function, but we don't know clear complete architecture of function. So we have to learn that perfectly. We need to know these technical words. Right. So these are formal parameters, actual parameters, arguments, declaration, definition, and signatures. Okay. Now, next important. So syntax I will give like this. Function, some print numbers. So for where I is equal to 1, document dot write the value of I. That's a simple one. Print numbers. Yeah. As per general programming standards, use always plural word for any collection you are dealing with. If there is more than one to handle, then use plural words, function name, variable names, everything. If only one, then singular. Those are project tradition. This is one. Okay. Now, here we have another important is function parameters. Okay, first we learned about function. Now we will see detailedly parameters. Already I told you actual parameter, formal parameter. These are. Now the point here is, the question is, why we need a function with parameter? That means actually function can be parameterless or parameterized. Function can be parameterless or parameterized. Without parameters or with parameters. A function can be without parameters or with parameters. So here, let's see. Suppose I am writing this HTML page. Okay. I'm adding some HTML page and presenting this. Okay. Some name. Okay. Now here I am configuring a script and a function F1, or just normally do this way. We have the function called print numbers, and we are calling that print numbers. Print numbers function is called, and it is going to print the numbers from 1 to 10. Now, what here the point is, this is parameterless. Why a function needs parameters? If anyone asks why a function needs parameters, what is the necessity of parameter? Generally, why we need a function with parameters? Function requires parameters in order to modify the functionality. Function requires parameter in order to modify the functionality. If anybody asks why we need parameters, answer is to modify the functionality. Means actually, now the function that you created, its functionality cannot be modified. Parameterless means it cannot be modified. For example, I am calling this print numbers. I'm calling this print numbers again. I'm calling this print numbers again. Then again it will print 1 to 10. But second time I want to print 5 to 20. You can't do that. That means now you designed a function which cannot modify. It will do the same work every time. Why I need only 10 numbers every time? I don't want like that. I want a function which can print numbers. How many numbers I will decide according to situation. At one situation it should print 5, another situation it should print 10, another situation it should print 20. That means I want my function to modify its functionality according to the situation. Then what we do here, into the function print numbers. So into the print numbers function, we will pass a parameter as count. That means total count. Like this I am writing. Now what I will do is, total count means how many you want to print. That total count I will pass here, total count. That means I starts with 1, I starts with 1, but ends where, that you decide. I starts with 1, but ends where, that you decide. That means that is not standard, that depends on the total count. So every parameter defined in a function is mandatory. If a function contains parameter, you should pass value. Otherwise it cannot work. That means now I will access print numbers and I don't pass any parameter, then it cannot work anything. It will show an error actually. So here it is not displaying anything as of now. There is no problem catch. Why? Because that error will come if you are using in a separate script file. I already told you exceptions are not thrown here. So if parameter is missing, then it should throw as an exception. It can't throw. We have to manually do it. It's not working at all. So but see now, if I put value as 5, that means now what it will do is it will print the 5 numbers. Print the 5 numbers. Suppose I want to print 10, then next time I will call print. I want to print 10. Next time it will print 1 to 10. That means we can decide what it have to do. We can modify its functionality. So generally when we ask what is the purpose of parameter, then fresher's answer is to pass value. If we ask what is the purpose of parameter, generally people give an answer like to pass a value. The question is why to pass value? The question is why should I pass value? So to modify the functionality. The purpose of parameter is to modify functionality. So function parameter. So that means to modify the functionality. And very important is every parameter defined in function is mandatory. That means you cannot skip it. You cannot ignore it. Every parameter defined in function is mandatory. So here, example, I will pass this. This is the example. This is the example. Later, I will upload this into the classroom notes. Okay, so every parameter is mandatory, you cannot ignore. And point is, function can have multiple parameters. parameters. Function can have multiple parameters. Function can have multiple parameters, more than one parameter. So here you see function can have multiple parameters. That means where to start also I have to decide. I don't want to start from one. I don't want to start from one. Then I will use a parameter here, start number. And here we will put end number like this. And see, I is equal to start number and I less than end number. Like this we can give. That means now where to start also you have to decide. That means now how many parameters now function is expecting? 2 parameters and their order is also same. That means you cannot ignore. You have to pass 2 values. That means into print numbers, we will call print numbers. Start with 12, end at 40 or say 22 like this. And you see that it will start from 12 and end at 22. That means now you decide where to start, where to end. There can be multiple parameters. There can be multiple, and very important, you have to pass. Suppose I don't have to pass, I have no number to pass. So then I can't live like this. Yeah, if I write like this, what do you think 22 is? 22 is start number. That means this is the first place. First place will store here. That means what you are doing, you are not telling end number. You are not defining the end number. You are telling the start number. That means here you see in the console, there are no issues here. Everything we have to manually define. That means end number we have to define as some 28. Then it will be from 22 to 28. So every parameter is mandatory. And the parameter order dependency is also mandatory. That means, so function parameters have order dependency. Function parameters have order dependency. That means you have to pass the value in the same order how you define. Pass the value in the same order how you define. Order dependency, same. So example, I will do this. This is an example, where to start, where to end. Now, another important is function can have any type of parameter. Function can have any type of parameter. That means both primitive and non-primitive. Function can have any type of parameter, both primitive and non-primitive. Means a number, string, anything. Even a function can have a function as parameter. That also we will see that. Functions also can be as parameters. Any type of parameter, because you can store anything inside it. For example, see, suppose I am defining a function here. Function print product. We have ID, we have name, we have price, we have stock, and we have cities. These are all parameters. Now we are printing the details. We are configuring the details. So that means document.write. So I will use a expression here. And here I will print product ID. And we will access that ID. In the next line, we will print name. And we will access the name. In the next line, we will put price and we will access price. And in the next line, we say stock and we will put an expression here. So expression, if stock is equal to true, we will print available. Otherwise, we will print out of stock. And we have another option is shipped to. Shipped to or shipped to cities. It's an array. And I will give cities dot to string. We have array to string method, or we have cities dot join. Arrays have a join method. By using the join method, I will separate the cities by using a pipe symbol, or I will separate by using some arrow like this. I will just separate by using this. You can do all. You can perform an iteration and define it inside it. Later we will see. I want to display as list items cities. Then what you can do, you can write like dot map. No? In the map, so you can use a callback function again, and this function will read every value. That value must be printed as list item li, right? In the list item, we have to print the value again. This is complex design. Now here a function can have anything, We are defining this and specifying this is all. That means a function can have various types of parameters. Now, whenever I call this function print product, that is the function, first value is ID 101. Second value is name, string type, Samsung TV, something. And third one is price. It's a number I defined. True, that is stock. Next one is an array. Directly we pass array in the array of string. So Delhi, Hyderabad, like this. And this is the data we are passing into it. It should get the details and display them. Right? And available shipped to, you see, this is the function for mapping the list item and displaying. So mapping list item means we need an order list. Na? We will do one thing. Simply, later we will print order list. We will put as what? To string. Right. So cities dot to string. It will print those values. I don't need this one. Huh? Yeah. I will put a BR here instead of comma. Fine. Then it will print the details and display. This also not required. Fine. That is printing the details. Now the point is, it can be any type of parameter. It can be a number, it can be a string or a boolean or an object. Suppose we are defining an object. If you remember the fake store rating, and in this rating, suppose here we are defining BR. So rating, and here actually we are defining rating dot rate. So we are defining rating dot rating, and I will put another option. So from how many users. So rating dot count. Now what is this rating? Rating is an object. So when we pass that here, we have to define an object. This object is for rating. It has two properties. What is it? Rate is 4.3, and it is having another one. What is it? Count is from 5,600 people. That means these are the details it need to print and get them and show. You can have any type of data into the function parameter. It can be any type of parameter in the function. And there can be a function inside function also. Function inside function. We will see that. Means parameters, we can define that. So this is any type of parameter. That means a configure any type. Either it is a primitive type or non-primitive type. So this is an example for that. The primitive type parameter or non-primitive type parameter. This is an example. Now, in the function parameters, several more things are there that we'll see in next session, right? On Monday, we will discuss about that. So in Monday session, we will see how we can define and configure with the parameters and other options in functions. Functions itself, it will take entire session Monday, because a lot of complex things are there we have to learn. Then we can go into OOP concept, object oriented programming. After that, Monday will continue. Okay. And I announced previously for mentors, we need mentors. Anyone attended interviews? Applied? Right. So offline people who are looking for the part-time job in our Naresh Technologies as mentor to guide other students. Now after the class, stay and I will talk to you, so that no interview, nothing. I will check you and I will directly put you in that. Monday onwards, you can come for that job. Okay. We need UI people, and our Naresh Technologies will give you bank account based salary, so that you can show this as experience as a developer. We will give a certification also as a developer. So that means that will help you. You don't need to put any fake, right? This is enough. Bank statements and everything will be generated for you, right? So if you are interested, after the class, now stay and let me know about that, so that I can check you and recommend to that. And from Monday onwards, you can start working on that. Okay. Right. So Monday will continue.